giving the House elaborate move on what the report entails. Madam Speaker, as I rise to second, you and me were on the floor of the House when, under the guidance of leader of majority and leader of minority, the House came up with a joint motion between the minority and majority side to discuss the state of the nation. This was as precursor of the Gen Z protests that happened in June 2024 over the state of governance in the country and the issue of Finance Bill 2024. So, Speaker, you remember the resolution of the House is that each and every standing committee, including sessional committees, Madam Speaker, were assigned with the work of follow-up of the Committee of the Resolutions. The National Cohesion and Integration, Madam Speaker, was given the tasks of following up on the issue of inclusivity, ethnic diversity, issues of public procurement and disposal, Madam Speaker, and audit of the diversity in terms of gender parity across the country. Madam Speaker, I was here in the morning when you are following up on the issue of IDPs in the country and their compensation. And I agree with you largely. The unfortunate part is you are interrogating somebody who is incompetent, and therefore he could not even comprehend what you are asking. I wish he would have listened and understand what you have, because the precursor of this, if we don't have gender parity, if we don't have ethnic diversity, if we do not have inclusivity, if we do not have equal opportunities, the resultant violence, the resultant IDPs, the resultant, the country becomes unstable. There will be no rule of law, democracy, and human rights. So what you are asking is that to rewrite an injustice that has been committed, we must have a transparent and accountable compensation. And your question is simple. Because compensation only does not mean to the IDPs or post-election violence or protest. It involves even my people in Cherargei and Ngetipkom who have been evicted. Compensation to forest evictees. Madam Speaker, you are aware, and you are sure you, with your illustrious career, they are what we call nowadays infrastructural evictees. People who their land is grabbed and they are evicted, especially in major towns. We were discussing Jamhuri Park. We are discussing the issues where policies affect. You remember during COVID, some Kenyans Ziruai were evicted at the middle of the night. Those are what you call infrastructural evictees. So the IDPs, forest evictees, infrastructural evictees, we need to, and I want to inform you, Madam Speaker, and the House, that some senior officials within the Ministry of Interior are eating those money. Because if you ask them how many IDPs you have settled, they operate, how many IDPs have been given land, how many have been given money. That is why he was just giving a story that was not neither there, Madam Speaker. We need to be told. If it is 1,000 families, how many were given land? How much acreage? Compensation to what? That is what you are asking, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, some of us who are brilliant do not serve in that offices. We would have answered you with the necessary information because they say information. So the reason I'm linking that, Madam Speaker, is what we are having. If we want to cure IDPs and many others, we must have inclusivity, ethnic diversity, ethnic inclusivity, gender parity. And I just want to make a few comments so that my colleagues can contribute, Madam Speaker. On the issue of, I want to thank the committee and to thank Senator Joseph Kituku, the distinguished senator of Lamu, for ably moving, of the great people of Lamu, for ably moving, Madam Speaker, this report. I think out of the reports that were referred under State of the Nation, and I hope, because at that time, Madam Speaker, no one was safe. This parliament was attacked. We were no longer safe as a ruling class until we sat and spoke about the state of the nation. Now we want to report back to the country that when you went on the streets, especially the young people, and say, in your country, there is no ethnic diversity. In your country, there are no opportunities, Madam Speaker. Yesterday, I was moving my motion on the issue of Public Service Commission interns. We were asking, in fact, the recommendations that were made, Madam Speaker, is that let us ensure every ward in this country is given allocation of internship under Public Service Commission, not only in the public sector, in the private sector, and stakeholders. Even there were proposals that we must have what we call tax incentives to private sector to take over young people. Those are the opportunities that young people want, Madam Speaker. That is the inclusivity, Madam Speaker. And I want to say very well, Madam Speaker, that yesterday I said unequivocally that many people don't know the segregation of the young people. There are young people who did not go to school, but they are doing business, they are in border sector, they are farmers. Madam Speaker, secondly, there is a group of young people who still want to go to school. They want bursary, they want the scholarships, they want to read. And then there is a third group of young people in this country who have gone to school. They have degrees, they have diploma, they have certificates. And that is why this aspect of inclusivity, we must look it through the prism eyes, through the 3D, Senator Kituku, so that our young people can understand there is inclusivity. And therefore, from thematic 1, Madam Speaker, on the issue of gender, persons, PWDs, it is unfortunate that Nandi is ranking higher among the counties that we don't comply with gender parity. Madam Speaker, you have to note that Nandi have serious women of substance. You remember the 7 bearded sisters, Cherargei Mutai. Madam Speaker, it is a shame that Nandi cannot comply under Governor Sang on the issue of gender parity, Madam Speaker. Yet we have serious women of substance in Nandi. I can confirm to you, including my beloved mother, Madam Speaker. We have women who, it is unfortunate. For Mandera and Wajir, I can agree. Because you can allude to the fact of the values, the cultural values of those areas, Madam Speaker. And maybe other, but Nandi, where even the current president comes from, Madam Speaker, this is very unfortunate. And I hope in the next 90 days that the committee have recommended the governor of Nandi must come back and tell us what he's doing to ensure women. You know, you cannot say you love women by word of mouth. You must love women through actions. And the Bible says action speaks louder than. I always hear my governor that he says he loves women. But Kumbe does not, sorry for you, it does not reflect on the performance on this report, Madam Speaker. Number 2, Madam Speaker, on the PWDs, at least 32, imagine, Madam Speaker, it's embarrassing. In fact, if former Vice President, your good friend, Mudia Wari, Madam Speaker, Mudia Wari, where we were and we celebrated, I'm happy you mentioned him on the floor of the House in Busia County Assembly. If he hears today Mudia Wari, the distinguished, and I saw him the other way, he's still very strong and wish him long life and good health. If he hears 32 county governments have not complied on the issue of PWDs, he must be very he must be very mad. Because this 5%, 32, that is more than 3/4 of the county, of the country. 32 county colleagues, this should cause an alarm among us as leaders. Where do we put our PWD people, Madam Speaker? People living differently ably. It is unfortunate that 32 of them, 32 counties did not comply to ensure that there was an aspect of PWDs, Madam Speaker. And that is why this one should, I'm happy, the report says 18 months tabling of this report. The other aspect is also 32 on the issue of ethnic diversity. More than 32 or more than 30, Madam Speaker, of county governments are employing people from only dominant, did not fail, Madam Speaker. Are we turning county governments to be ethnic conclave, Madam Speaker? Are we turning our county governments to be area? I'm happy, I think Lamu, is better. It's more cosmopolitan, Madam Speaker. Why are we turning our counties into ethnic cosmopolitan? Madam Speaker, there is a principle in biology called cross-pollination. You must ensure that the cross-pollination to improve the quality of genealogy, Madam Speaker. And if you had some tribes, Madam Speaker, if you intermarry within a particular lineage or blood, the gene or the children likely to be born, Madam Speaker, and you are better than this because you are a mother, will likely suffer from some deformities. Why are we allowing our county governments to become ethnic headquarters? Why is it that when I go to Kisumu, to Nandi, to Kisii, to Mandera, to Garissa, the entire over 80%, 90% of the population, Madam Speaker, in the workforce of a county government only speaks one language? Madam Speaker, it should be a conscience that should awake this nation, Madam Speaker. When you leave Francis Mboga, betrayal in the city, if something disturbs a man, it should disturb the conscience of this nation, Madam Speaker. To paraphrase Francis Mboga, betrayal in the city. I'll skim through, Madam Speaker. At least the worst, I can just mention two. My colleagues has done very well. Kwale leads with Michiganda 75.5, Kilifi, Wajir. In fact, Wajir is worse. They are doing at 91.0%. And the governor, the chairman of Council of Governors, who happens to be your friend, you plan the devolution conference in Omabe, has 91. He can do his cabinet meeting and even briefing with the staff with this local dialect, the Somali. But I'm Speaker, Mandera, Meru. Unfortunately, the Deputy Speaker has left. He should tell us why 90% of Meru can only speak one language. But I'm Speaker, Bomet is 97.2. We are doing badly. I'm sampling per region. Even I can another sample, Elgeyo Marakwet is 96.2 Kalenjin. I'll just sample a few, Madam Speaker. In fact, Muranga, Kikuyu 93.7%. Madam Speaker, and Migori is doing at 71.1%. And Noma Bay, Madam Speaker, we are doing badly. Madam Speaker, the way to cure, because Madam Speaker, I've sat in most of the committees, and I know cohesion, this was a question you asked. Madam Speaker, when you ask governors, how do you recruit? When you ask county public service, they say we put at the national newspaper of circulation. But why then use the local vernacular? They can use Kameme. They can use Voka FM. They can use Kas FM. Or even Kitwek FM, Madam Speaker. They can use Moga FM, Madam Speaker. The local vernacular. When you ask them, they only use Standard, Star, and maybe Nation. They need to improve on security. And even most of their websites, Madam Speaker, sorry to say this, are dormant. They are no longer functional. I can challenge you, Senator Gitugu, try and access website of LAM. You will get the last update was in 2016. How do you ensure there is access? This is the era of digital age, Madam Speaker. On thematic number 2, I think on the people of issue of PWDs, the chief officers and executive members, Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate also the PWD, I'm happy Lamu. By the way, this is impressive and like other information, Taveta has complied, Wajir, Turkana, and Nandi. I think this is the only time Nandi is getting right on the issue of PWDs of the 5%. And I hope when one of the champions of prisoners and issue of PWDs, you have to appreciate to me, in Disability Act of 2003 was Angomudi Awari. Madam Speaker, on the issue of others, the bottom line, maybe Elgeyo Marakwet, Kericho Makueni, and Nyandarua, and I hope my friend and Vihiga, Makueni's governor, Mutula, can listen to that. Number 3, Madam running through, in the last applied, this we have agreed, Madam Speaker, that this advertisement should be done at any given. Thematic 4, I'm running through the status with section. This is where I wanted to come to, Madam Speaker. I'm driving it home, hot and sharp. Madam Speaker, you know, Madam Speaker, the pass of this Public Procurement and Disposal Act, CAP 412C, was a progressive law. Madam Speaker, this law was progressive. The reason young people went and demonstrated after the protest of 20 Kusalamia, they say we want to go and Salamia a governor, it's because of lack of opportunities. Madam Speaker, imagine 22 county governments failed to comply with Section 53(6) of the Public Procurement on 30% on procurement opportunities. For special groups, this is embarrassment. Madam Speaker, this is embarrassment. This is an embarrassment, Madam Speaker. Because how will the young people, and I want to challenge the office of the Attorney General, the state law office, these companies that are awarded contracts and tenders in our counties are cronies of governors. At least for Inandi, I know that. Are cronies of the senior officials in Madam Speaker, in these entities, Madam Speaker. So this law has been violated, colleagues. Why should we say I don't know when I'm picking it up, I'm picking the heat up. Madam Speaker, why should we say youth are complaining? Why do you say young people are restless? If 22 county governments cannot give 30% of their procurement opportunities to young people, how don't you expect young people to come and demonstrate against us? How? This is shameful, Madam Speaker. These counties are 22. One is Mombasa, Kwale, Wajir, Isiolo, Meru, Embu, Kitui, Machakos, Makueni, Nyeri, Kiambu, Turkana, Nandi. Nandi, my county. This is shame. The young people of Nandi are very enterprising. They want these opportunities. But under Masang maladministration, they have destroyed the future of the young people, Madam Speaker. Even Baringo, Nakuru, Samburu, Narok, Kericho, Vihiga, Migori, Nyamira, Nairobi. This is shameful, Madam Speaker. How can you expect, Madam Speaker, young people not to protest if we cannot give them opportunities? How don't you expect? In fact, Nairobi is the worst. Nairobi is only 10.7. This county, I want to say this without fear of contradiction. This county of Nairobi City County should be handed over to NMS. Should be handed over to NMS, Madam Speaker. Should be handed over to NMS, this county government of Nairobi. Are you work, Madam Speaker? You drive even Kilimani potholes. If you even drive an SUV, you will disappear in a pothole here in Nairobi. Just within the CBD, Kirinyaga Road, the surfaces have gone to the dogs, Madam Speaker, and I must be put on NMS. Because the people in charge of Nairobi City County, the governor, has failed and abrogated in the duty of managing this city. And even think of amending the constitution so that we can take Nairobi to become metropolis and be managed at that level. Madam Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to say this is aside. Madam Speaker, as I was sitting, unfortunately yesterday, Madam Speaker, we have lost, one of the Tindred members of parliament aspirant by the name Cherargei Marati, Madam Speaker, got lost. We hope the government agencies will trace him. But the sad reality, Madam Speaker, that is creeping back to this country is intolerance, the abuse of law. Yesterday, when my people wanted to demonstrate in Maraba Center, in Tindred sub-county, Madam Speaker, live bullets were used, just near Kisumu, where you come from. A few weeks ago, 2 people were killed in Kimwani by live bullets, Madam Speaker. Where are we going as a country? There is an intolerance. A young man was clobbered by the name Ken Maswa in Kapseret constituency for having political divergence, Madam Speaker. I want to call the Ministry of Interior and state actors to arrest this political intolerance and police brutality so that we go ahead, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, this is a progressive report so that I allow my colleagues to proceed. This is, we hope all the committees, Madam Speaker, can bring their reports. With those very, very many remarks, with tremendous respect, I beg to second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration on implementation of the Senate resolution on the current state of the nation made on Wednesday, 24th July 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 3rd June 2025. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I rise to contribute on this motion on the Committee of Cohesion and Equal Opportunities and Regional Integration, my views are completely unorthodox. I don't believe that